We've seen for the better part of her entirety in the Democratic leadership, the Republican Party spending hundreds of millions of dollars, blanketing the airwaves nationwide, attacking, demonizing Nancy Pelosi, saying that she's un-American, saying that she's the reason why you have problems in this country, making her the fall person for everything that you don't like about America. And you tie that with the dangerous escalating rhetoric we've seen from the Republican wing, people like Donald Trump, people like Kevin McCarthy joking about hitting her with the speaker's gavel. It is a direct correlation. It's not an accident that we're seeing the threats rise. We're seeing the threats go from just empty rhetoric and posturing to action, whether it's Gretchen Whitmer in Michigan, whether it's Eric Swalwell in California, whether it's what we just saw with Nancy Pelosi. There is a pattern, a very disturbing pattern taking shape here. And ultimately, listen, words have consequences. And when you go out there and you say that the people who committed a domestic terrorist attack in our country are patriots, when you say that you might want to pardon them, when you say that what they did was right, when you try to normalize it, you are sending the signal to your audience, to your base, that that's okay, that that behavior is acceptable. Yeah. When you can't even be a party that stands up to the guy that wanted to hang your own vice president, is it any wonder we're at this point?
So on that, let's turn to a new article. It's in The Atlantic, and it is predicting that Republicans are going to impeach President Joe Biden and possibly other administration officials if that party takes control of Congress. Republicans have indeed made their intent no secret, introducing 14 impeachment resolutions since President Biden took office. Let's take a listen to some of them pushing for impeachment. Here it is.
Last Friday, Ralph Norman from South Carolina and I filed a resolution including impeachment articles for Secretary Blinken.
It is time for action. Impeach Biden, impeach Kamala Harris, and throw in the Secretary of State if you could get him back from vacation.
These are articles of impeachment on President Biden.
Okay, so Adrian, the message appears to be if you intend to vote for Republicans, here's what you're going to get. Impeachments. Can Democrats use that message to their advantage in the final stretch here?
Well, they certainly should, Alex, because that's exactly what's going to happen. If Republicans take over the House and the Senate or even one of those chambers, they are going to file articles of impeachment. We know this for a fact, not just against President Obama, but also against Vice President, a number of cabinet officials. And I think, Alex, this is where not only can Democrats use this in the upcoming midterms, but this is where voters get so turned off by Republicans having even 1 ounce of control because they tend to overreach. We saw this with President Bill Clinton. We saw this with President Barack Obama. We're going to see this with President Biden if Republicans have control of either of the chambers. That they just can't stand it. You got Jim Jordan, who's going to chair judiciary if Republicans take over the House. You've got Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's going to play an outsized role on the House Oversight Committee. They simply cannot help it. And I think what the American people are going to see is that contrast between the number of accomplishments that Joe Biden has accomplished from the American people in the first 20 months of his presidency versus Republicans who only want to obstruct and want to impeach. It's not going to serve them well going to 2024.
Let me get your reaction to the process of impeachment, Kurt. A couple of things have been floated, by the way, for impeaching President Biden. Hunter Biden, immigration and border enforcement, Afghanistan withdrawal, strategic petroleum reserve, and evictions moratorium. I mean, are any of these legit?
No, none of them are legit, but that's not the point. They don't care about legitimacy. They care about making as much noise, creating as much smoke, because Republicans believe, and they learned this, frankly, during their time running oversight and judiciary when Obama was president, and I was there, that the media will follow them. They will follow subpoenas. They will follow investigations. They will bite on every nugget that the committee hands out and legitimize it. And so they were able to successfully use the specter of an illegitimate partisan witch hunt called Benghazi to try to tear down Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign. And by and large, they were successful. You have to think, where would the Clinton campaign have been if Hillary's emails had never existed in the first place? That started back in 2012 at the House Oversight Committee. They're looking to try to use the same playbook to either try to convince Joe Biden not to run for president or to use it to try to beat him. They will not show any hesitation. They will not show any restraint. They believe that when they have the reins of power, they can wield them unlimitedly, and that Democrats aren't ready for that kind of fight.